Welcome to episode 204 of Fresh Air at 5. This episode is called Don't Get Left Behind with AI. What are you doing to make sure that you're not getting left behind? Are you engaged in the conversation? If you're listening to my podcast, I'm pretty certain that you probably are. But if you aren't, take a listen to some of these episodes that I have reflected on myself and start doing something about it for yourself. All right, in this episode, I got to connect with Holly Clark in person, which was pretty cool. So you'll hear her voice and others as we had our conference here in Abbotsford. All right, that's all I got for now. Enjoy Fresh Air at 5, episode 204.
This is Brittany Blackwell, host of the Resilient Teacher Podcast, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, along with this podcast. Each show on the network is independently owned, and the views expressed may not represent those of other podcasts. For the best education podcasts, visit edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwe First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey PLN, it is Saturday, February 8, 2025. Out for a walk today because I was feeling draggy because I haven't walked all week. I'm like, it's reasonably okay, nice. Snowing now a little tiny bit, but I'm almost home. And I got out for a walk. I put on about 6 kilometers. It's been fantastic. A friend of mine at work, Karina, she recommended that I listen to the Michaela Peterson podcast, and I did. Episode 221, as she talks with billionaire and innovative guy Tom Bilyeu about AI and how not to get left behind. Super curious. They talked about things like clone armies. They talked about the Chinese AI dog. They talked about health and about thinking and being up for change and making a difference in your life. So there are lots to think about. Take a listen for yourself. Very curious. Hashtag new to me podcast. All right. Happy Saturday. Bye. Hey, PLN, it is February 10, 2025. And this morning for Fresh Air at 5, I stayed inside because it was -8 and the wind was howling up at my house. It's nice and calm here at school now, but I thought I'd report on what I listened to as I was at home. I listened to X Factor episode 42, Unbreakable Will, as Brian Martin brings us a story about Porter Ellett, who is assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Brian, he recorded this before the Super Bowl happened yesterday, and we know the result now. But if you don't know the result, then you should find out, because I'm not going to tell you. But it's about the relentless work that we do consistently in the little things every day. Porter Ellett is missing an arm. He's an assistant coach, and how he stuck with the game of football and working hard to be part of a thing that he really enjoyed by consistently doing the little things every day. And so take a listen to this episode. It's inspiring. All right, thanks. One more thing for February 10, 2025. Tech Tools for Teachers with Shanna Martin. She brings us an episode about typing. What's it called? I can't remember. But it's about keyboarding and the importance of keyboarding for our students in their education and learning keyboarding. So she talks about 2 apps that are not gaming keyboarding apps, but they are more just tools that you can use that might not be blocked by your district. We have howtotype.com and KEYBR, Keybr.com, and those are typing website tools that can teach your students about proper touch typing with the QWERTY keyboard and the importance of punctuation and things like that. And so what's the difference between keyboarding for coding compared to keyboarding for English language arts? All right, take a listen. Thanks, Shanna. Happy Monday to you and Fuzz. Okay, bye. The last thing for February 10, 2025, I listened to Teach Happier with Suzanne Daly, Season 5, Episode 23, I think, as she brings us an episode called 5 More Minutes. In this episode, she reminds us of our goals that we have set and our New Year's resolutions and a check-in. So thank you, Suzanne, for that. Mine is going okay. Appreciate the reminder. I got to pull my list of 25 things that were the start, stop, continue, and consider list and see how that's going. Okay, in this we talk about 5 more minutes. What if we had 5 more minutes in our day? What would you do with that? And thinking about that, what would we do about that? How can we prioritize that activity in our existing time that we have in our day? Because we probably waste 5 minutes very easily somewhere. And what could we do with those 5 extra minutes and that idea in our day as it is? Take a listen to Teach Happier. Thanks. Bye. APLN, February 11, 2025, and this morning it's minus 9 degrees out and the wind is blowing, so I'm inside again, enjoying episode 56 of the Digital Learning Podcast with Matt Miller and Holly Clark, as they bring us an episode called AI Tools and Choosing AI Tools for Schools. That's not exactly the title. It's about like that, but the whole point is that as we are making decisions for what to purchase and spend our money on for students and teachers as we come back from conferences and move into the next budget year and things like that, how do we decide what to spend our money on? You know, and they talk in their episode about the fact that teachers should have access to large language models and that teacher-facing tools might be more like worksheets than not, and not giving you necessarily the best results. Coming back, I'll be right back. One more thing for February 11, 2025, continuing my thoughts on the Digital Learning Podcast, episode 56, as we are looking at choosing AI tools for schools with Matt Miller and Holly Clark. And so using the teacher-facing tools like Magic School or School AI and Brisk and things like that do the work for us quickly, that's important that those things are there. But have we done the compare and contrast with the large language models? What can we get out of Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini quickly that we have done the work maybe already in one of these other things? Or even teacher-paid teachers. We go and spend some money on worksheets in teacher-paid teachers, and are we critically thinking about the results that we're getting out? And for students, you know, I think it's important that we get students working on these things, and so let's spend our money there. That's the bottom line of what I heard. Thanks. And the last thing for February 11, 2025, excited that Holly Clark is coming to the Abbotsford School District this week. And on Thursday night, we have Parents' Night, where she's going to talk to parents of district students about artificial intelligence and how it's affecting their students' learning, potentially moving forward. And then on Friday, we have shared learning, and Holly's keynoting at that and doing some sessions. And I'm excited about reconnecting with Holly this coming week. All right, Holly, thanks so much. And Matt, we'll see you in Seattle in 2 weeks. That's coming up fast too. All right, take care. Bye. APLN, it's February 13, 2025. This morning, I listened from my couch as it's -4 outside and really windy, so I did not go for a walk. I listened to episode 117 of the Educational Duct Tape Podcast with Jake Miller. Hey, Jake, how are you today? I'm glad to hear your voice. You had on guests Adam Jerez and Catherine Goyette, who are affectionately called Atacat, as they work together. They've written a book together that I don't have the title for. It's in the show notes for this episode. But they talk with Jake about accessibility for students and teachers in the classroom and looking at accessibility tools, things like voice typing and the various tools, about using AI to help do translations, things like that, image generation, things like that. So take a listen to this. Excellent to listen to, long list of things. And yes, I'm excited about the possibilities of inclusion and accessibility. Thanks, bye. All right, hey PLN, it is February 13, 2025. Yes, it is. And I'm here with Holly Clark, who's come to our district to talk about artificial intelligence.
I have, and I'm here, and I'm so excited to be talking about it because Abbotsford, by the way, is doing some of the best work in Canada. And so this is your guide for thinking about how AI can be implemented. I don't really like the way I look on this, but that's okay.
But they're not going to see it. So well, they're going to see it for a moment on Twitter, but that's it just for a moment.
But this is your guide for thinking about this deeply because they're doing amazing things in Abbotsford, which I'm sure your brain is helping out a lot.
Yes, so it's good to have her here. We're excited about shared learning tomorrow, and she's going to talk to our educators and do workshops. And I'm talking about AI and Adobe Express and just all the good things.
I love Adobe Express.
So do I. All right, talk to you soon. Thanks, bye. Hey, PLN, it is February 14, 2024. Happy Valentine's Day to you and yours, where you are. This morning is shared learning here in Abbotsford, and I'm excited about presenting Adobe Express and artificial intelligence therein and things you can do with that for definitely image generation and other things. All right, as I am cruising along here, I did listen to episode 306 of the Easy Ed Tech podcast with Monica Burns, as she brings us teacher favorites, tips for using AI-generated images in their classroom. From creating book covers to creating visuals for lessons to backdrops for videos for students and so much more. A definite listen you should have for this episode 306, Class Tech Tips with Monica Burns. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon. Happy Friday. Bye. I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself because you are worth it.